Hello, everyone. How's your day? I hope it's awesome. My day is very quiet. Ain't much going on here, so I thought, I'm kind of bored. Maybe I'll just talk to myself on this here video and do a reading and see how it turns out. Now, have a little playtime, practice, whatever. Let's see what happens. Let's draw our oracle card. Talking about new beginnings. So, looks like we're going to focus on new beginnings. New beginnings. Everybody wants a new beginning, right? A new beginning in life, a new beginning on our credit, a new beginning, family, a new beginning with marriage or dating, all kinds of new beginnings, building a business. I'm having a new beginning. I'm trying to work on a tarot card. Not so much business, but let's just say getting some word out there of truth and not so much drama into the ethers. Today I'm very excited. The new beginnings makes me think also of our consciousness and the collective consciousness, because we have this comet that's coming through our universe this week, and it was here 50,000 years ago. And the reason that's really important to me is because when I did a study on the history of collective consciousness, I found out that, that was right around the time when the cave people or Neanderthals and the Cro-Magnon began writing on cave walls and drawing and exploring their world by drawing what was around them. It looked to me like possibly it could have been shamanic work where they were manifesting animals or things like that, but a lot of the stuff that they drew back then was alien-like things they saw, during the time. There may even been some pictures of comets then. They maybe even drew that one. The thing is that it was a collective thing, and everybody around the world was doing it. They were all adhering to the same collective heartbeat, such as they were all learning about the world outside them. They were no longer just animals. They were beginning to be men that noticed animals and making plans and drawing things out. And, the whole beginning of the structure, it was only 10,000 years later where we began planting. And, it was kind of like a seed, a new beginning into the history of mankind, because within a few thousand years of that, once we started drawing in the caves, we ventured out and started planting crops, herding animals, and we kind of went from that hard time. Within 12 to 15,000 years, we had little towns and cities. That's pretty quick for back then. We were what, 3 million years living as cavemen, and we didn't advance at all. And then this comet comes through, and within 15,000 years, we are now harvesting and growing our own gardens, building 3-4 story houses. And then, that would have been, to me, that was great achievement. We made a lot of stuff, and in them few thousand years, whereas 3 million years, we had a spear. For 3 million years, we walked the earth with a spear. And then all of a sudden, boom. Yeah, just like that. 3 million years, we walked this planet, and nothing changed. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was a comet. To me, come E.T. That's what I think. Comets foretell a lot of stuff. They bring a lot of things. And so my mind is thinking the new beginnings in this comet that's coming through and hasn't been here for 50,000 years, I am associating it with the collective consciousness. It's named C. Consciousness. They named it C. So I don't know if you guys get interested in human history and the leaps and bounds we've taken over the last 50,000 years since this comet come through. But to me, it is very interesting to know. And the collective consciousness not only is in us, it's also in animals. Monkeys have a collective. Every creature kick on this earth has their own collective consciousness, such as collective consciousness for humanity is that we kind of adhere to the same rules. There are the universal laws, 10 commandments, such as that. Okay, everybody, every religion, every country has these things. These are universal, and they're all around the world. The same thing. That's collective. We're all collective consciousness, and we all work through the same universal laws, and that's just, that's how it is. And the same with bears. They have a collective consciousness. They work through the universal laws. We don't see them as murderers. We see them as going out and feeding. But a human don't have to do that. So if we do that, we get counted in as murder. So it's a different consciousness altogether. Monkeys have their own collective consciousness. It was only within the last 20 years they proved that baboons had been watched and studied, and they'd studied him for 10 years and never saw a baboon take and wash off a sweet potato that they'd been feeding it while they studied it. Well, that baboon washed off that sweet potato, and all the baboons around the pond began to do this. Within a few months, the studies noticed that these baboons were all now washing their sweet potato. So when they pulled together and brought together all the studies of all the baboons that they did around the world, guess what? At the approximate time that those studies were being done on them baboons in China, all around the world, the baboons were washing their sweet potatoes. So what does this tell us? This tells us that if one critter or human within the collective consciousness comes up with a better idea of how to live, an epiphany, let's say, or something that will benefit the whole, that idea comes out into the collective consciousness, and we all become aware of it one way or another, sooner or later. Isn't that wonderful? A living consciousness. I mean, yeah, you might not think that what I'm saying, I know what I'm talking about, but let me tell you what, I've been studying consciousness, spirituality, and God for over 30 years. And when I find things like this, I'm amazed at the way it works. Just like, bam, clockwork. We got the Empress, Mother Earth. She works like clockwork because the collective consciousness does belong to the Mother Earth. She is the great caretaker of us all. She gives us wood for our house. She gives us gas for our car to go to work. She gives us metal to build the car. Diamonds, gold, silver. Everything we use comes from our Empress, whom is the Mother Earth. She's fertile. She's bountiful. She's love. She's peace. She's there for every single one of us, and she gives freely. There was a time when we could just go out and have a walk and build a teepee and go fishing and pick apples. There was a time we could take, just like the birds of the air are allowed to build a nest of whatever they can find and feed their babies whatever they pick up off the grass. We used to live such too. But as people begin to get better and better things throughout life, they started putting fences around it because, the poor bums down the street might want a little bit. And we definitely ain't sharing what's ours, right? Well, look what that's brought us to. The Mother Earth always gave freely. It's only us that thought we should put a fence around it and cut the poor people off. Everybody's got fences everywhere. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Really what we need is personal boundaries and energetic boundaries, and that just about is good. But what I'm trying to say is the earth is our inheritance. Every child born upon this planet should have something that comes from it. So with this new consciousness that's coming in, I'm aiming towards the collective consciousness of everybody realizing that there are no classes anymore. There are no classes. And that every child has earned the right by being born on this planet to an A1 education. That every child born on this planet deserves a home. Every child born on this planet deserves healthy food. And every child born on this planet deserves a parent that gets to spend time with him, that brought him on this planet, so that parent can teach that child those things that they learned while they were growing up. That's the whole familial family way. But these days, Mom and Dad, you're working 8 to 16 hours a day so that you can feed the child and put the child in school, if you get to put this child in school, or pay insurance. Somewhere along the line, most people are doing without. Many people are doing without. And that's because the resources of the earth have been hoarded. And there are some people who have thousands of years worth of resources. And there are some like me that don't know whether my great-grandchildren will be capable of even finding a home. That's how short we're getting. Now, in my mind's eye, if the government or we, the people, stood up in a social contract and demanded that every child had a right to a home, and every woman that has an abortion wouldn't have to get an abortion anymore because she'd have a place to take her child and nest like the birds of the air, just like Father said, Jesus said it. I mean, think about how do the birds live. The birds live freely. They get what they need and they use it. So we, like the birds of the air, should be capable of coming into a world that has been created capable of housing and providing top notch for every child born on this earth as an inheritance. And so as we move into this collective consciousness, this new beginning that everybody's talking about, stepping into the 5D, moving forward, the first thing we should recognize is that the vulnerable people, the children that are aborted, and the mothers who are homeless and cannot bring these children home to a family or a place where they can raise their own children, have to have an abortion, or they have to give the child up for adoption. There really isn't a lot of choice. For those of you who wants to bring a child into the world that you got to watch the little shit starve and you can't even send him to school, and you're so miserable in your own life that you're some kind of addict and you can't even pay attention to it, why would you want to make somebody have that child? Why would you want to make that child suffer for however many years it's going to suffer before it dies? Why are we brought upon the face of this planet to suffer when we don't have to? There's no reason. And we all need to stand up and demand something better, because we're all entitled to this planet. We're all entitled to our inheritance of a home, of a good food, of the best education. There are no such thing as classes. That's a friggin' illusion. They faked you out. Forgive me for my passion. When I talk about that, I really get upset. But I'm speaking for her. It's her planet. She has a right to demand that the children are housed and fed and educated good enough to keep up with those that think they're in top class.
I'm waiting on, hopefully not long, a lot of them to get back.
So we all need to get grounded. We need to get grounded in our thoughts, in our truth, in what we think is real. It's not real. We're living on this planet in an illusion. You know, there's people that act like they're better than other people. There's people that act like they think they deserve more than others. That's a lie. We all deserve the best. We all deserve the best education. We all deserve the best doctors. We all deserve the best of a home. I'm not talking fancy. I'm talking a home, a place where people can raise their families and children in peace and have at least 8 hours a day to hang out with their children and families in peace without being exhausted from a 14-hour day work week. We got to stand up for these things, people. We got to stand up. Look, there's Buddha, 10 of water, 10 of cups. What does that mean? The ultimate best where you can get. The ultimate best. Many of us don't even know if our grandchildren, 5 generations from now, will have anything. Think about it. Why should one family have thousands of years worth of resources stored up, whereas one family don't even know if they've got 2 generations that'll make it through? Think about it. Think about it. Buddha thought about it. He thinks we all deserve 10 cups, which is the dream life. Yes, we got to work a little bit. 4-hour workday is a good day. 4 hours of working and giving yourself to the world to help it be productive is good enough. And then you come home to be with your family, right? Ace of Air, truth. You can't get no more true in this. This is the purest element of air. It's the purest. It's truth. What I'm telling you is truth. Mother Earth, the Empress, wants you to have what you deserve for being on this planet. Your inheritance. God promised it. And we deserve it. We're worthy of it because we're born here. We're here. And that's what it's for, is to provide for everybody that comes to this planet. This is our home. Ace of water, 2 aces. Okay, we're getting, this is good. Ace of water. This is an emotional thing. This is what's going to help families live better and happier and more joyful, to protect and watch over their children better, instead of leaving them with strangers and babysitters and latchkey kids. Don't forget, if your kids are left with babysitters, to ask them what's going on. And dive deep into the sexual actions as well. And talk to your kids about sex, because they're all being molested. And if you don't believe that, ask your children if they're okay. I hope your children are okay. But I know a lot of children, and I know of a lot of children I've talked to that aren't okay, that weren't okay. That's a very emotional thing for me. Sex abuse. I really get pissed off because it steals their innocence. They lose it. They lose their innocence. And your innocence is your connection to God. I'm telling you, we've got to do something to make our families better. We've got to stand up and see what's going on, and we got to be strong. We got to be strong. And I'm telling you, spiritually strong is the best way to be, because you can stand in what you believe and believe what you stand in. And that's integrity and truth and righteousness and what is really on God's list of the promises that were made to us 5,000 years ago. And nobody has stood on that. They've made churches rich. They've made industries rich. They've made kings and queens. But my God, we've got children that ain't got shit. And I'm standing up for them And I'm standing up for the children that's been abused sexually. And why? Because you have to work 12 hours a day. How you gonna cook dinner, help with homework, talk to them about what the babysitter did? No, you ain't got time for all that. Meanwhile, our children are being tarnished. Not by you, you're doing your best. By the standards set by those who rule over us, of which it's time to break the rule. The ruling class, my ass. I love you. I'm sorry. I get excited. I'm going to pull one more card. There's the Six of Earth. The Six of Pentacles. It's about giving and receiving. You guys give a lot. You give your time, your life to the world. And what does the world give you? The struggle of paying a way that is almost impossible to get through and make sure you, your children, have time together, have a way together, have plenty of food together, and that they have the top-notch education. It's a struggle, isn't it? You're not getting what you deserve. There was a time when nobody owned the earth. Some fool set up a fence. It's time that the fences got kicked down and that the people got their share of this planet's resources. And I speak now through the power of the Holy Spirit and the Most High God, the Mother Earth herself, and the Heavenly Father himself, and all things we were promised an inheritance. Ain't nobody talking about it though, are they? They just taking everything and doing what everybody tells them to do. Think about it. We need a social contract. It's time we stood up. Okay, guys, I love you. Enough of my, a little ranting, yes, but my passion of how I feel for you and your children and the future of my children and grandchildren as well. So I hope you hear me. I hope you understand me. And I love you. Please come back anytime. God bless you. Bye-bye.